What's up guys, I'm randomfrankp, and today we're going to be reviewing two of Razer's brand new gaming headsets. We have the Razer Blackshark V2X and the Razer Blackshark V2. Don't worry, we'll go over the differences of each so you can decide which headset's going to be best for you and your needs. But little 2013 Frank is pumped, because back then, before I was even doing YouTube seriously and recording videos on my iPhone 4, these were my go-to headset. So I'm very happy that we have a refreshed release now 7 years later. Now, like I said, we'll fully cover the differences between the two units in just a minute, but first, the Blackshark V2X is actually their budget option out of the two. Despite the X at the end of its name, usually companies put X for a product that's, more high-end, but Razer uses the X as an affordable indicator. And then here the Blackshark V2 with their USB sound card is their higher-end premium model, even though I wouldn't really say that's even the case here, because it doesn't have a premium price tag. Yes, the V2X comes in at $60 and the V2 comes in at $100. Two very fair price tags for these. But we'll hop in because there's a lot of good stuff to go over. So first, visually, they look pretty identical despite minor color differences. You'll see on the V2X, it has a green rubber cable, and it has that stealth logo on the ear cup where it's glossy, so you can only see it in reflections, which looks pretty nice. Whereas on the V2, their logo is green, and the cable here, instead of being rubber, is the braided SpeedFlex cable, nice and lightweight, and they use this on their gaming mice. So in terms of cosmetics, that's really where they differ visually, but it's the physical features where they start to, separate themselves. So for starters, on the V2, the microphone is actually removable if you want to wear these like actual headphones, whereas on the V2X, it is not removable. It is permanently stuck in the ear cup. So the design for both overall is still that like David Clark-esque pilot helicopter design to it, which I do like, and a little bit more on the original Blackshark back in the day. It had that more mechanical look to it, which I do prefer, but I will say these definitely have a more modern look to it, so it's appropriate. Both use memory foam in terms of the ear pads and the headband, although on the V2X they use more of a pleather, there on the V2 it is more of a cloth fabric material. Both very, very comfortable and very soft. So I will say in terms of comfort, hands down, throughout the life cycle of this channel, these are probably the most comfortable headset I've ever worn. They're lightweight, this goes for both the V2X and the V2. It's only a few grams difference between them, but they're lightweight, they just feel, right. It feels natural. It doesn't feel like I really have a headset on. They're over the ear, so it just feels good all around. And I can definitely say that with confidence. And I know last year I did get LASIK, so I haven't done glasses tests over the last year, so I apologize for that. I got some lensless frames here, but even with glasses on, there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever. The breathable memory foam in both the V2 and V2X, it's doing good. I cannot complain in terms of comfort at all. However, one thing I will say is slightly annoying is the way you adjust the ear cups and the height adjustment. They're both on their own independent suspension rods, if you want to call them that, but the wire here does not move together with both of them. So you can adjust them slightly independently, which could be annoying if you want to just quickly adjust them on the fly. I've had it a few times where either the left side would be down or the right side would be up a little bit more, and they just weren't completely even, so that's slightly annoying, I will say that. Now, a few more physical features to go over before we move on to the good stuff like my experience, the mic test, sound quality, all that. On both pairs, on the left ear cup, you do have a built-in volume dial, so really quick and easy adjustment there if you want to adjust the volume on the fly. And right underneath that, you have a mic mute button. It presses in, mic's muted, you unpress it, you're good to go. But where that $40 price tag starts to really show is in their connections. So the V2X is completely analog. It plugs in with a 3.5mm headphone jack. It is 4-pole, so you can obviously use this on a controller and stuff. It'll transmit audio and chat, obviously. Comes with an extension cable and stuff. But the V2 has the USB sound card. And this gives you the option to enable their THX settings, as well as, microphone EQs, music EQs, change up different sound profiles. You have that USB sound card flexibility now, and the added benefits with that. Whereas just on the V2X, the only flexibility you have to adjust the sound settings is with their included surround sound. So when you open up the box, the first thing you're gonna see is a redemption card. You scratch it off and you can enable their surround sound, which does differ from the THX sound profile. But enabling or disabling surround sound is the only real, software flexibility you have to change up the V2X. But what's crazy, this is 100% being truthful. If you were to blindfold somebody and do an A/B test where you had them listen to these back to back, and you had THX on for the Blackshark V2, and you had their emulated 7.1 surround sound on the V2X, it would be very hard to tell the difference between them. I always say, and I've said it in numerous reviews, to always avoid emulated surround sound. But Razer is the one company that does emulated surround sound right, and it sounds phenomenal in game. Not for listening to music, not for movies necessarily, but gaming, it's done right. For the V2X, when talking positional audio, I could easily locate footsteps in the distance when I was playing Battlefield. One thing I will say is with the surround sound on, they are more pronounced, but I could easily tell which direction they were coming from. So I heard footsteps, I thought it was maybe, 5 to 6 feet away from me. Turns out it was more like 20 to 25 feet away. It was my teammate walking around, but I was able to quickly identify, okay, there's someone right there. Be on alert. Now, both headsets use the same 50mm newer Razer Triforce drivers. The only real difference between them is the V2X has a membrane-coated diaphragm inside, whereas on the V2, it is titanium-coated. And again, that's going to be a lot more the marketing stuff and technical aspect, but in terms of just listening back and forth, not too different. I will say, yes, the V2 does have the edge in terms of just overall clarity and kind of depth in the way you can push them in their USB sound card settings and stuff, so I will give them the slight edge, but if I'm being honest, it is very, very close. Now, when you're EQing these in the software, which I'll show you in more detail in a second, I know I keep stringing you along, you can push the levels of the bass, the mids, the trebles, all that. Obviously, you're familiar with EQ settings by now. But one thing I was really impressed with is no matter how much you would push them, it never got distorted or muddy. I could bump the bass all the way up, and it wasn't to the point where it was overbearing or anything. It still had good clarity and a good punch to it, but it never got distorted. Now, since this does not use the same 7.1 surround sound like we have on the budget V2X, their THX setting does have that more versatility to be used with watching movies, listening to music, so it's more, well-rounded, I think. Still gonna be great for gaming. Same's gonna go for the positional audio, but they both sound really, really good. It's very hard to tell a difference, I'm being honest, but I will give the slight edge to the V2. And again, having the sound card, that's gonna be the main selling point for the V2. All right, so now it's time for the mic test. We'll do two individual ones so you can hear the differences between the two, even though they're both using the same Razer Hyperclear cardioid mic capsule. So the same, but they do have some differences. We'll head back now. Okay, so we're going to start off with the mic test of the Blackshark V2. As you can see, it is plugged into my computer via the USB sound card. And with the actual mic, it's one of those flexible, like rubberized goosenecks. You can move it wherever you want. I wish it had that old mechanical look, but that's okay. And this, as you can hear, is the sound. Obviously, with proximity and stuff on your desktop, you're still going to be hearing some stuff with, in terms of like typing and clicks in the background. But the one thing I want to focus on, and I'll show you while I do this mic test, is their software through that sound card. So I currently have it at around 75%. And the only thing that's turned on, as you can see, the mic EQ is at default. You can also enable things like side tone and stuff, so you can slightly hear yourself. The only thing that's really turned on is the volume normalization at 40%. And I believe once I downloaded it, this was on by default. So if you want, you can go in and change some things up, but this is the stock sound test. Obviously, raw, unedited audio. You can hear what mic boost does. Vocal clarity does also enhance it a little bit. This is at 30%, so if I were to go up, you're obviously hearing that difference right now. Ambient noise reduction. You have all these different effects that you could go in and enable, but again, all stock, all default, nothing really turned on or customized. So this is the mic test for the V2. Now I'll switch to the V2X. Okay, so now we switched over to the V2X, as you can see here, plugged into the front I/O on my PC. And this is going to be the raw, unedited mic test for this. Obviously, all analog, with there being no USB sound card to enable with this. So this is how it sounds. And again, just a quick little typing, clicking in the background test. But it's going to do an okay job at picking it up, obviously, just because it's so close. Even though I didn't mean to say okay job. You don't want it to pick it up. You get what I'm saying. But yeah, that's just the nature feature of that. So the thing with this now, like I said before, is you have their 7.1 surround sound software. Once you download it, you just tie it to the proper output device in your PC sound settings. Then all you do is enable it, and then now you can enable surround sound for your gaming audio. And there's also a little kind of indicator in your taskbar, and that will also pop up as well if you don't want to have to go through this sort of little interface, but it's just down here in the corner. You either just turn it on, turn it off, real quick and easy toggle. But yes, the raw unedited mic test for the Blackshark V2X. So let me know in the comments down below, which mic do you think sound better? I think for the V2 with the USB sound card, again, you have that option to enable some vocal enhancements and EQ it a bit, versus the analog mic on the V2X, which sounds very good out of the box. They're both going to be more than passable for playing online, talking to your friends. They're decent for what it is in 2020. I have heard better, but I've heard a lot worse. So just comment down below, which one do you think sounds better? Now, in the end, both price tags are extremely budget friendly for the overall value you're getting, and they're more than appropriate for the product in the end. So, very impressed. I just have to say, what Razer's doing right now is great. I think both the sound quality in each, whether you want to go V2 THX versus the V2X and 7.1 surround sound, you are not gonna be upset with your option in the end. They both sound pretty clearly identical, I'd say. The trained ear is gonna be able to, pick apart the differences, but they sound very close. One's not a clear knockout punch over the other. Not only that, but they're hands down the most comfortable headset I've ever used. I love the minimal design, even though, like I said, I wish the mic itself had that more mechanical look to it like we had in the original Blackshark. Not a big deal. But in terms of cons and things I don't like, two minor things. One I alluded to earlier, and that's just the height adjustment of the headband and the ear cups. So since it's on this wire, it's just not easy to really get that fine-tuned level you want without them kind of doing their own thing. So you're gonna have to do a lot of this to kind of wear it out a little bit just so it's easier to fully adjust. And the second thing, which is more something I'll have to get used to, but with the included volume wheel on the ear cup, it's the opposite direction of what I'm used to. So to increase the audio, you turn it counterclockwise, which isn't natural. You would usually turn these clockwise to turn it up, right? But that's just turning it down. So I feel like if that was reversed, it would have made a lot more sense because I'm always turning it down when I want to turn it up, vice versa. A little complaint on my end, but a little bit of muscle memory will knock that right out of the water. So, man, the V2 and V2X, whether you want to save $40 and just, enable 7.1 emulated surround sound with their surround sound settings, you're gonna have a great product in the end with the V2X. If you want more flexibility with the sound card, change up the mic, change up your EQs, sound profiles with the original V2, you will not be disappointed. Razer, gotta give it to you. You revived a 7+ year-old headset, and you somehow made me love it again. Don't even know how it's possible, but I love them again. And guys, that'll wrap it up for my review of the Razer Blackshark V2 and V2X. If you want to check them out, I'll put a link for you in the description down below. If you like this review, give it a big thumbs up to show your support. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at randomfrankp. And lastly, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.